in writing, first of all, we have 45 minutes time in total. So out of that 45 minutes time, we have first 5 minutes is the reading time. In this time, you are not allowed to write anything anywhere. Okay.
Okay.
And after that, we have 40 minutes time to complete the task. Okay, just a minute, please. First of all, we discussed that first we have first 5 minutes is the writing time. In this time, you are not allowed to write anything anywhere. You have to make up your mind and try to understand the reason of writing, that why we are writing this letter, right? In the next 40 minutes of your time, okay, you have to compile the letter, right? Okay. There would be one profession specific task, you know. There will be one profession specific task that you will be having. It could be referral, it could be discharge, it could be transfer, update, request, education, and information, right? So these are a few types of letter, that you have to see in your OET writing task. So let's say this is the marking criteria you have to see in here. So first of all, like what we have in the purpose of writing. So to understand this thing, to whom you're writing this letter or who's your recipient. And second is the what is the issue. Let's say if you're writing this letter to the, what I can say, to the surgeon, and why we are writing, let's say, for any particular surgery. So according to that information, you have to select the relevant details. So depending upon the relevance, we have to design the letter. Most of the candidates, they do believe just the introduction is the purpose of writing. It's not the case. Only your reason of writing should be clear in the introduction, but purpose criteria mean the focus of writing. If your focus of writing is clear, your purpose of writing would be clear. Now, with reference to selection of the case notes, with reference to selection of the case notes, okay, with reference to the selection of the case notes, we can see there that we have to select only relevant case notes. Do not add anything that is irrelevant. Okay. Do not add anything that is irrelevant. Semi-relevant information is optional. Semi-relevant information is basically optional. Okay. After that, we have the organization. Organization is something that cannot be defined in word directly, but it's simply, in simple word, it's your sequence of the appropriate sequence, actually. The sequence of the information that must be appropriate with reference to the class, right? So as you can see there, that we have, you can say, information that should be given in the right sequence as per the importance of the information, right? So, okay. So basically, as per the importance of the information, you have to sequence the case notes, right? Then we have conciseness and clarity. Conciseness means to summarize the less relevant detail or the less important detail. Whatever the detail that you believe is less relevant, you have to summarize. And as a matter of fact, in the case of referral letter, mostly in the first few visits, we have to summarize those details. And in the last visit, mostly we have the most important details, so we have to expand it. So as per the importance of the history, we have to either summarize or either expand the information as per the importance of the history. So afterward, we can see there we have genre and style. So in terms of genre and style, we have, let's say, technical language or the factual language. There must be a relevant register. According to that register, you have to transform the case notes. Now, information given in the case notes should not be, we can say, directly follow. Need to translate it, right? You need to translate it into your own language, considering the technicality, considering the person or the recipient to whom you're writing this letter, right? Anyhow, so then we should not never ever use the acronyms such as we have like number of weeks, for example, number of days, for example, then the months, for example. You can see those things in the case notes, may be written as it is, but you're not supposed to write it down the way it has been written. We have to change into our own language, right? So now we can see that as a matter of fact, first of all, the first and foremost thing is to write it down, the information in technical language. Do not use the layman words such as the shortness of breath is the layman word. You need to change it into dyspnea, for example, as just an example that has been done in front of you, and followed by your abbreviation. So use of abbreviation should be judicious. You should not overly use the abbreviation. You must see that it must be like a judicious response by you, right? Anyhow, so afterward we can see that we should not use the non formal language such as contraction are not being appreciated. We are not supposed to use them, right? So this is your criteria of your style. And then we have the language component. Now, language mean tenses, sentences, and so on. All these information would be important in OET writing because tenses, appropriate tenses, and the range of tenses would scale your letter in the right time, or the sequence of the event would be scaled as per the that the event had happened. So followed by the variety of sentences, which include simple, compound, complex, but do not overtly use those things where it is appropriate. Do not complicate your letter. Just try to make more clear. Do not write down the sentences that will be lengthy. Try to have the variety of sentences, but it should be concise and composed at the same time. Variety of active, passive, and parallel structure are appreciated. Then the parts of speech includes articles, prepositions, for example, and so on. We have to use those things appropriately so that we might not, we can say, be penalized for that. So if we quickly revise this thing, out of these 6 criteria, the purpose of writing is the most important criteria. It's not only the recipient awareness or organizing the case note as per the issue, but at the same time, it is something the focus of letter. Then we have the selection of the relevant case notes, relevant with reference to person or the recipient, and relevant with reference to the issue. That is followed by the organization. Organization, though we can have a standard letter structure, but it's something that we have to go with the flexibility. Where let's say we have thematic sequence, or we may have the chronic sequence, but still you must have a ground to make it more. You can say what I can say to make it more flexible, because depending upon the history of the event, depending upon the importance of that event, depending upon the importance of that case notes, you have to either prioritize some detail or maybe skip some detail, maybe summarize some detail. So structuring of the paragraph inside, or the structure of the events in the paragraph, let's say event structure also depending upon the importance of the information, followed by like how to write down the date, address, and then paragraph. These all things should be written in the we can say in the detail, right? So this is your basically organization and layout. Then we have conciseness and clarity. In conciseness and clarity, summarize the less relevant details. For the sake of example, the what detail is always less relevant. In discharge letter, we have to summarize, and discharge plan is more important. We have to summarize them down, right? Anyhow, so then the last point, second last, is the Yarnian style. In terms of Yarnian style, we have to see that you have to use the factual and clinical language, considering the fact that who is the recipient. According to the recipient, you have to select your language and select the transformation of the notes. try not to use the word that has been written in the case notes, but just try to change into your own language, right? We should not use the acronyms. We have to be judicious in the use of abbreviation. Lastly, we discuss about the language component, right? Whoever you can say, like we have tenses, sentences, and so on. This is the language component that we have to see in here. So at this point of time, if you like to ask any question, please feel free to ask me. Like say, in real exam, when you see the case notes, this is the first page of the case, and now this will be the second page of the case. So whenever you receive the case notes, irrespective of type of letter, you have to go to the writing task. Now, whatever type of letter you'll be writing, you need to see like to whom we are writing this letter. For example, here, let's say we are writing this letter to the emergency registrar. So you need to put yourself in the shoes of emergency registrar now. Like if I would be emergency registrar, how would I need that information that has been written in the case notes? So the first thing is to see to whom we are writing this letter. We cannot see anything in this case notes in the writing task apart from the fact just the recipient. So after that, just move on and read this last part. So in this last part, you can see that this is your presenting complaint, the examination assessment plan. So this assessment is the most important thing. So what we have in the assessment, we have AMI, acute wall myocardial infarction, for example. This is your first DD. Now, second DD is your APO, acute pulmonary edema, let's say. These are two differential you are suspecting, and along with that, we have exacerbation of asthma, right? We have the exacerbation of asthma. So we know actually there is a one cardiac condition, another is the pulmonary condition, but we have a differential diagnosis. Beside that, we can also see there, this is a paramedic transfer to ED. Paramedic transfer to ED mean that it's an urgent referral letter. So you are transferring this patient on urgent basis, right? You are transferring this patient on urgent basis. So at least we have some idea right now that we are writing this letter to the emergency registrar. That is the first point in the purpose of writing. If you remember, when we were discussing the case, we discussed with you that the first point is the recipient, like to whom we are writing this letter. So right now, this is the implementation of the marking criteria. We are writing this letter to the emergency registrar. Now, what was the issue? So this is the issue. This is your issue basically. This is you write it down, your DDs. And secondly, that is the paramedic transfer, also the part of the issue. So at least now we know that we are writing this letter to the emergency registrar with reference to this particular issue. Now, if this is clear to you, you just have a quick look over there that we have a crushing chest pain, though no need to mention that. But let's say to make it more clear, now start reading the case notes with reference to the purpose of writing and the selection of case notes. And you need to see which information is relevant and which is not relevant. Let's say now with reference to the differential diagnosis we have had with reference to the recipient, do you think that the mild chest pain is important to be written or not? We can see that as we are suspecting the history of, let's say, MI, and we have a differential diagnosis of MI. So in this regard, it is important for you to write it down, that particular history, the mild chest pain is your relevant thing, right? When we can see that has mild asthma with reference to the DDs we have in our mind, it's your relevant. Nil family history, important negative, right? We cannot ignore that. One pack cigarette smoker is also your important history. Let's say 5/7 mean 5 days a week, 10 standard drinks. Under significant stress, yes, important. Now we can see that the medication he has been taking, we cannot ignore anything. So in selection, at least we can see that everything that we have selected right now is relevant. So followed by the assessment part. Now in assessment part, you can see that ECG was normal, let's say, sorry, chest pain was normal, everything was normal. So we were suspecting it to be ischemic heart disease or stress-related chest pain. And he was not interested to change alcohol intake habit. So that was a plan at that time. So after that, you can see there, he presented again on the second visit. Now in second visit, again, like he's here, still he was having exertional chest pain, right? Still, he was having the exertional chest pain. So it was important. And then we have the worsening of asthma. Okay. And patient had attended exercise test which confirmed some ischemic changes. And bilateral wheezing was there. Cholesterol was increased. And ischemic heart disease was suspected diagnosis at that time. And DDs. You had started some medication, educated the patient to use of Engine, and review in 2 weeks' time. 2/52 mean after 2 weeks, the review was scheduled. Now again, he came here with the similar complaint of chest pain. Like the similar complaint. Just the wheeze is there. Ethanol consumption was causing to forget to take the medicine. Wheeze was there, right? So after that, we have the mild asthma, second degree to non-compliance to the medication. And the patient was concerned and he agreed to go for the pharmacotherapy, right? And he said that he will consider this. Now the last visit, if you can see there, this is the most important visit, right? The patient was having sudden crushing chest pain. Previously, the patient was having mild pain, right? Now the pain was in sudden crushing chest pain. There was a worsening of asthma, important. Angini was given for the chest pain, very audible wheeze. Then ECG was important. Likely interior MI was important, right? So everything you can see over here in terms of selection is important. And now this is the plan. Paramedic transfer. Patient is being transferred to the emergency department, and you have done this thing being a GP. Now you are transferring this letter to the specialist. As you can see that everything we have written over here is relevant, right? We may not be able to negate something. Everything that was written over here is relevant. So it's quite difficult for us to summarize this letter. We'll discuss how to summarize in a moment. This is just a template or a letter that we have written. This is not a standard. There is always a room to improve the structure of writing. Even you can totally disagree with this structure. Even you can write it down differently. This letter has been documented to give you a general idea of writing. And this letter can be written in different other format as well. So this is not a standard. I'll repeat it again, please, because I don't want this letter to, destroy your understanding of the letter. I just want you to give you a brief insight and idea how would you write down these letters. Anyhow, so on the top left corner, we can write down the date, first of all, or maybe date can be written over here at this place. Then we can write it down the selection, the designation, if it's given. Now, the is optional. I've written in the bracket, it means it's optional. Then the hospital address, Aurora Hospital, followed by the street or address or Lakes Road, whatever. Then the hospital rate, right? Then the doctor name, you can write down second name. This comma even is optional. If you are putting the comma, you will put at the end as well. Followed by the regarding part. Regarding mean RE stand for regarding. Then the patient name and his age and date of birth. Then you can see there, thank you for accepting Mr. Elvin. It's a standard convention. You can write it down from thank you for accepting, or even you can write it down, I'm writing to refer, right? Both are acceptable. Whose sign, symptom, and investigation are suggestive of acute MI or acute pulmonary edema along with worsening of asthma. So this could be an appropriate introduction, and even we can just write down the symptoms in the introduction. So we can write it down. I'm writing to refer Mr. X, who presented with acute chest pain and worsening of asthma for definitive diagnosis and further management. Anyhow, that is followed by, let's say, today's consultation. In this letter, what we have done, we started from today's consultation, but little differently. What we have done in this letter, this paragraph belongs to the cardiac history. And this paragraph belongs to the pulmonary history, pulmonary details. It's not written time sequence or event sequence. It's just written with reference to the two different problem. What we believe in the primary has been discussed in one paragraph. Let's say, on today's consultation, Mr. Elvin reported sudden crushing chest pain, which has not responded to angina. Now, this was the main presenting complaint the patient was having and non-responsive to the medicine. His ECG can be written in ECG as well, showed ST elevation, again, recent investigation, right? Then the summary of the first three visits with reference to the cardiac issue. Like over a period of 3 weeks previously, he had exertional chest pain, had normal ECG, however, exercise tolerance test confirmed ischemic heart disease. So why we have tried to write it down those things, or why we compiled those things in one paragraph, because you can see the writer or the emergency staff would have a clear idea first about the acute MI, and this is the explanation of MI, let's say, along with the past history that was relevant. He was having mild chest pain, and here the patient is here with the crushing chest pain. The sequence of these two lines can be changed. Like I can start from this line and I can move on towards this line. It's also fine. Even you can start from chronic to acute or acute to chronic within the paragraph, right? Anyhow, but it's preferred to start from today. Followed by the one liner can cover the asthma history, has version due to his non-compliance to anti-asthma medication that we cover over here. Then the recent investigation with reference for the asthma that being covered. Followed by the medical background, sorry, the past socio-economic detail, so social history. Pack cigarette smoker, it was important. Drinker with significant business stress, and we can add on the number of drinks as well. However, has negative family history. He was consulted for that, and he consulted for the alcohol treatment. Then this is the discharge, this is the conclusive paragraph. I'm transferring Mr. Elvin, okay, with the details has been done again. Then the management that GP has done in the hospital, and then you have to close it off, right? So this is just for general understanding.